Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings for Thursday, May 3rd. I'm going to be covering the 4-game night slate for this Thursday night. We do have a lot of early games. I believe there are like 6 or 7 early games. I will be playing the early slate, but won't be making a video on the early slate. Just going to cover the 4-game night slate, covering the night slate like I always do. But before we do get started looking at some pitchers on this slate and some batters we want to target, make sure you guys drop a like on the video. I would really appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel and you have not clicked that subscribe button yet, make sure you do so. Make sure you subscribe so that way you won't miss out on any of my new videos. But yeah, pitcher today, we've only got one pitcher on this 4-game slate that's over 10K, and that is Sean Manaea going up against the Mariners. Not very high on Manaea here, especially because of the price and this matchup. The Mariners definitely have some good bats versus righties. They got a lot of power in their lineup with obviously Nelson Cruz. Haniger is very good versus lefties. Even guys like D. Gordon, Cano, Seager, they're tough outs even versus a lefty. Segura is good versus lefties. Even towards the bottom of that lineup, you got Mike Zunino and Ryan Healy, two guys that do have power versus lefties. I feel like this is kind of a scary spot for Manaea. I know he's been really good this year, especially as of late. Pitched a great game against Houston, pitched a no-hitter against the Red Sox, two very tough matchups. But with that price increase, $11,200, I don't see myself going to Manaea today at this price. I feel like you could get similar production for a little bit cheaper with David Price at $9,700. I like David Price here against the Rangers. This is a great matchup. The Rangers do strike out a lot versus lefties. They're another team that has some power in their lineup, but definitely has a lot of strikeouts, especially with guys like DeShields, Nomar Mazara versus a lefty, Profar, Gallo. These guys will strike out a lot. Chirinos will strike out. You don't love the ballpark. You don't love the temps either. Hot game in Texas is pretty much a hitter's paradise, but with it being just a 4-game slate, our options are really limited here. And I think David Price could definitely be the highest scoring pitcher on this slate. So I will be rolling with him as my SP1. Garrett Richards is listed at $9,200, but he's actually not going to be pitching today for the Angels. I believe it's going to be Jaime Barria, however you say his name. I would have a lot of interest in Garrett Richards today, but he's not actually pitching. It's someone else, so can't go to Richards. Now if we want to look for SP2, this is where I think it gets really tricky. If you want to play Manaea and Price, I guess you could do that, but that's going to really thin you out on salary. You're barely going to have any salary to fit in bats. We have Chris Tillman on the slate. You know you're going to want to get some Angels in there versus Chris Tillman. Guys like Mike Trout, I think it's a great play today. It's going to be hard to play Trout if you go Manaea and Price. So for that reason, I'm going to try and find a cheaper SP2, and I really like Renato Lopez here. It's $7,600 versus the Twins. I think this is a scary matchup, a spot where Lopez could struggle, but it's also a spot where he could definitely rack up some strikeouts. The Twins do have strikeouts in their lineup. Dozier will strike out versus a righty. Rosario will K. Grossman will K. Logan Morrison will strike out. Even when you get towards the bottom of that lineup, not as much strikeouts there, but definitely guys that you're not really scared of. I do like Lopez here as a cheap SP2. We do have rain here. It looks like it's going to be raining in this game. Obviously, I record all my videos the night before, so it's hard to really dig too much into weather the night before. Maybe if this game has a chance of getting postponed or if there's going to be like an in-game delay, we might want to get off of Lopez here, look to someone else. But for right now, not looking too deep into weather, I like Lopez here at $7,600. And that's really it for pitcher for me today. I doubt I'm going to be going to Odorizzi against the White Sox. I guess you could go there. I feel like people will go there since it is the White Sox and there are definitely strikeouts in that lineup, but I'm not a big fan of Odorizzi. I do like Lopez for a little bit more. Mike Minor versus the Red Sox, I can't go there. LeBlanc, I don't think it's that good of a pitcher, even though it's a good matchup versus Oakland. I'm not going to be looking to him, and then Chris Tillman obviously is a terrible pitcher. I'm not going to be rostering him, so pitcher for me, it's really David Price, Lopez, and I guess you can play Manaea if you want to, but Price and Lopez kind of the two guys I'm sticking to on this 4-game slate. But now if we want to look for bats, hitters to go to, we definitely want to get the Angels in our lineups today versus Chris Tillman. So at second base, I really like Ian Kinsler here, $3,700, dirt cheap. Getting to go up against Chris Tillman, a great matchup here. We don't have any Vegas information on this game as I'm recording this video, but I would imagine the Angels' run total is going to be at least 5 or more runs. I'd say it's going to be about 5.3, 5.4 versus Tillman. So you're going to want to get some exposure to these guys. Kinsler, Trout, Upton, Pujols. I think this lineup is in play top to bottom. Chris Tillman is just that bad. Some guys do have some good BVP versus him as well. Ian Kinsler is 8 for 26 with 2 home runs versus Tillman. Luis Valbuena is 4 for 11 with a home run versus Tillman. So definitely want to get some Angels in our lineups today. Kinsler being a guy that I really like. Batting leadoff, 3,700 versus Chris Tillman. Just think he makes a lot of sense here. So I like him as a cheap second baseman. And then my next two plays are both going to be coming from the outfield. My favorite play on this slate, a guy I think you should be locking into your lineups, is Mike Trout, 5,900 versus Chris Tillman. We're getting the best hitter in baseball, arguably versus the worst pitcher in baseball. So Mike Trout should definitely have a monster game here. I think he hits a home run, if not two. There are probably going to be some people out there that say Trout has bad BVP versus Tillman and won't be on him. He is only 2 for 12 versus Tillman, but I still like Mike Trout here. He's just too good of a hitter going up against a very, very bad pitcher in Tillman. Trout just has so much upside. The dude's got power. If he gets on base, he'll steal bases. So I think Trout's a great play today. If you can fit him in, if you're not paying up for Manaea, should be pretty easy to fit in Trout, and I think he's a great option. 5,900. A lot of people will probably go to Mookie Betts for 200 less versus Mike Minor in Texas versus a lefty. Mookie Betts been crushing lefties this year. Just hit 3 home runs off of Danny Duffy on Wednesday. So I feel like a lot of people might go to Betts over Trout. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong there. You might can play them both, honestly, if you don't play like Price. Maybe you go Lopez and Odorizzi in the same game or something. You honestly could probably play Price, Lopez, and then fit in Trout and Betts. You really got to find some value, though. But I do like Mookie. It's up top at outfield, but I think Trout is a little bit of a better play versus Tillman. And then my last play, also coming from the outfield, love Nelson Cruz here versus Sean Manaea. I think this is a great tournament play today because I feel like a lot of people are going to play Manaea because of how good he has been. So you can definitely gain some leverage on the field. Say Nelson Cruz takes Manaea deep, which is definitely possible. Cruz has great BVP versus Manaea. He's always hit lefties well throughout his career. Cruz is 6 for 16 with 2 home runs versus Manaea. And like I said, just a lefty masher. The dude crushes lefties. And with how good Manaea's been, you're going to get Cruz at very low ownership today. With the discount as well, Manaea's been that good to where Cruz is this cheap. We usually never see Cruz like 4K or under versus a lefty. But like I said, with how good Manaea's been, getting a little bit of a discount on Nelson Cruz from what I think he should be. So I really like him in the outfield at 4K. I think he is a great option here if you're looking for a mid-range play in the outfield. And yeah, guys, that's it for my 5 plays for today. David Price, Ronaldo Lopez, Ian Kinsler, Mike Trout, and Nelson Cruz. Now if we want to talk about some stacks for today, some teams that have the highest implied run totals. Obviously, Angels are the number 1 stack for me. We don't have any Vegas information on this game as I'm recording this video, but even without Vegas information, I know the Angels are going to have the highest run total on this slate. So definitely want to get some exposure to them. I do prefer them over the Red Sox. The Red Sox total is pretty high at 5.2 runs versus Mike Minor in Texas. But I feel like the Angels are definitely a better play. I think they score more runs, and they're a lot cheaper as well. You can find a lot of value in this Angels lineup with Kinsler, Pujols. You got Simmons 3.8, Cozart 3.5. If Luis Valbuena cracks the lineup, he could be an option as well. So just a lot of value in this Angels lineup. They're in a great spot versus Tillman. So they're my number 1 stack, and that's really it for stacks. I'm mainly looking to the Angels and Red Sox. I guess you could go to some of the Orioles versus this Barria guy because I don't think he's that good of a pitcher. But these guys aren't players I'm really jamming in today. But there is some value from the Orioles. All these guys are dirt cheap besides Machado. All of them are under 4K. So maybe you go to the Orioles for value. But really the Angels, Red Sox, kind of the 2 teams I'm sticking to today. Then BVP plays on this slate. We really only have 4 BVP plays with at least a 10 at-bat sample. Shin-Soo Choo, 10 for 27 versus David Price with 2 home runs. Obviously, I said Kinsler and Valbuena earlier. Kinsler 8 for 26 with 2 home runs versus Tillman. Valbuena 4 for 11 with a home run versus Tillman. And then Nelly Cruz 6 for 16 with 2 home runs versus Sean Manaea. And then pitchers that have done well in their matchups. No pitchers on the main slate have done well, and no pitchers on the main slate have done poorly. Both of these, or all these options, just come from the early slate. So that's really it for this video, guys. Obviously, since it's just a 4-game slate tonight, not a ton of BVP plays, no PVB plays as well, and just not a lot of stacks to really talk about. Probably going to be a short video, but you definitely know where to go on this slate. I feel like you're either paying up for Price or Manaea, going with maybe Lopez, Odorizzi as your SB2. And I think you want to jam in some Angels today. Maybe throw in some Red Sox in there as well. I think the Orioles could be some cheap fillers as well for value. But that's really it for this video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. Hopefully it did help you. If you did enjoy, like always, just make sure you click that like button before you do get out of here. Make sure you subscribe as well. I would really appreciate it. Subscribe if you have not already. And if you have any questions, you can always hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_go. I'm always active on Twitter, so make sure you just hit me up there if you have any questions. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And good luck tonight on the slate, guys. Peace.